Hi, I'm Gerald Clerc with Clerc Watches. We're fourth generation family watchmakers. We're based in Geneva, Switzerland. Today I'm going to show you the new Hydroscaph Central Chronograph, which is a limited edition of 500 pieces per case color. These come in steel, in diamond-like carbon steel, as well as gold. There are different variations. The Central Chronograph is a very interesting piece, both in terms of course, its looks, the way it's made, the fact that it's actually each of those pieces made like a unique piece. You see each of those parts that you see, and by the way, it's the most complex case made in Switzerland, with over 100 parts just to make the case. Each of those parts is machined and then hand finished individually, one at a time. So whether we make one or 500, it's essentially the same process. Then there are a lot of cool features and functions on the case. Probably the most noticeable is the Cclip. What the Cclip is, essentially, is a bezel activation crown. So it's a system, it's a patented system we developed to activate the rotating bezel. So this is how it operates. You turn the Cclips and it activates the bezel. So it allows the diver to set the bezel, and then when you close the Cclip, to lock it in position to avoid accidental deregulation when diving. So now that it's set, I close the flap and bezel is locked into position. Put it back in place. So that's one of the interesting features. Then the pushers. The pushers are also a new conception. So it's not just a sleek design, but it's actually very functional, in that you see it's a large surface. They pivot into the case like a piano key, like a rod, and it's very easy to operate. In case people accidentally use the pushers underwater, there is a system to prevent water from going in with 5 gaskets on both sides. We don't recommend it, but some people will do it anyway. Then the black here is diamond-like carbon, so it's a very resistant material which has the same hardness and the same density as diamond. That's where the name comes from. The lugs are flexible to adjust to the shape and the size of the wrist. Now that was created so that divers could wear it on the diving suit or directly on the wrist. Now even for those of you or those of us who are not necessarily divers, this watch can be worn with a perfect fit. It really wraps the wrists, any shape, any size wrist that you have. You see, that's the one I have on the wrist. You can see, very comfortable fit. It really wraps my wrist in its shape. Now, this one, it has this bright orange color, which is a trademark of the collection. It's also the color of diving and submarine diving equipment, because orange is the last color that you're going to see in the great depth. The case back is as interesting as the front, with 2 portholes, selectively showing interesting parts of the movement. And then the movement is a central chronograph. Central chronograph means that it works like a professional handheld stopwatch. Those handheld stopwatches which have one hand for seconds and one for the minutes. So here the chrono function, unlike other chronographs, is on the main dial. You see, you start the chronograph here. The thin white hand is the chronograph second, and the orange hand is the chronograph minute. So as the white hand goes around full circle by 60 minutes, the orange hand will move by 1 minute. So you can time an event up to 60 minutes on the main dial. So it's much easier to read, and because of that, it's also much more precise than a conventional chronograph. On the dial, you'll notice 2 counters. Those have nothing to do with the chronograph. It's a small second for the time. And this one is a day and night 24-hour time display. So those were the cool and interesting features and functions of the Clerc Hydroscaph Limited Edition Central Chronograph.